Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new trade recap. So this week I had a losing streak for around 4.2% in the loss, and I could had a week of minus 2.35%. So from that case, it was not that bad week, just not that good week for me for the markets. There were some trades to take, of course, but they played not well that out, and some of them I just missed with 1 pip. So yeah, I will go over first trade I took on AUDCAD. So on AUDCAD, what I can see, the driver was still bearish because this was our last high. So this was our low, this is our new high for me, because this week here goes over into this one. So this is one impulse for me. So this is not a new leg here. This is the high, this is the low. So if this was the last low and this was a high, we broke it here. So we broke it. So this is an indication of bearish sign. And then we had that bearish W. So we received that. So I wanted to look for more downside momentum because our weekly candle of previous week was also bearish closing. So I was maybe expecting the price to come back to this last support that can act like resistance. This was possible. So I needed to go to the daily. And on the daily, what I saw on the daily was a clear bearish W. We had our first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. And then we could take here the fake out because we closed above that daily highs here. And then I drew my daily horizontal black line here at this highest wick, and from there we could go for a pattern. And then I until the 4 hour, and you can see we received some received deceleration. The first candle, second candle, third candle, red candle. I could take my limit after third candle, red close, and then I could take the limit, and yeah, it just went to the upside. And this was a trade AUDCAD. It took me out with minus 2%, because if I go to the 1 minute, so if I scroll like this, you can see on the 1 minute, chart here, if you look very close, it took me out, yeah, just in a few minutes. So the price was going very rapidly, going to the upside, and yeah, it took me immediately out. I was here in, and yeah, it went just straight to the upside, and then it took me out right here because my stop loss was sitting here, but it was so heavily going to the upside that my stop loss couldn't follow to close. So that was fucked up to see. But yeah, that's trading. Nothing to do about it. It was minus 2%. So actually, I had a minus 1% loss, but the market gave me minus 2% loss. So yeah, this was a minus 2% trade on AUDCAD only. Then USDJPY. This was a break-even trade because I saw here on the weekly, so I will go first to the weekly. What I saw on the weekly was, on the weekly, I just don't need to trade this because this is an error for me, because if I take my weekly low wick here and my weekly wick high, this was still bullish on the weekly, okay? But then when we broke this weekly low wick, it wasn't not with this low, it was with this one. So this is one impulse high, new low. So it's indicational bearish for me. So we are still indicational bearish. You could go to the downside, but yeah, I was sawing this on this time frame here. We had here sort of a shoulder one, head, shoulder two, and then we had some bullish pattern after that. So I wanted to take the buy setup. So actually, I don't needed to trade this because our weekly driver was indicational bearish and our weekly candle was against us. So that was not good to see. The only thing was, okay, we made here a smaller pattern and we made here some kind of bullish structure, but it was indicational bearish still for USDJPY. So I went to the daily, and on the daily, you can see the daily was bullish. We had our first leg, second leg, third leg. Then the fourth leg coming back to the daily IC, which is acting like a magnet, as you can see. We impulsed back above that. And then on the 4 hour, we made there a pattern. So we had our shoulder one, head, shoulder two, pattern within a pattern, actually. It was a pattern within a pattern because this one leg, these weeks go over into each other. This is the bullish M within that shoulder one, had shoulder 2, and we went to the upside, break even, and then we went back here, and then we could go back up, and then it went back down. So yeah, that was a break even trade. Normally I didn't need to trade this trade. So yeah, then AUDCHF, this was a losing trade. So this is the trade I use with the new strategy. So on the weekly, what could you see on the weekly? If I zoom in, on the weekly, we are still bearish. So we had our high, this is our new low, these are the same lows, we expect the same highs. So this is a bigger W with that same low, same highs, natural W. And what we received on that AUDCHF trade is this last highs wicks. So the banks and institutes like to take some liquidity at these weekly highs for going potentially more to the downside to finish this natural W pattern or bigger W pattern. So that's why I was looking for a short, because the banks like to take the retail traders out at this point and then going massively to the downside. So I went to the 4-hour, no daily. And daily, what was the daily telling me? The daily was here, yeah, indicational bullish, but that doesn't matter for me because we broke here this last high wick here. We broke it here with this daily bullish candle. It was not a problem. We could trade a pullback till that daily IC here for potentially making that bullish M here. So yeah. So then I went to the 4-hour, and what I saw on the 4-hour was, so I will delete just this. And on the 4-hour, you could see that when we closed above that weekly reverse point blue line, we had here a high. So we had our high, and then we had a higher high, new high. And then when we close below that previous high here, so we closed with that wick here, below that, then we could take the limit on that for our reverse point previous high. And then I placed the limit, stop loss wide enough, and then I went targeting a daily IC low for around 4%, which would be enough. Then the trade was active and it went just here around 0.9%, and then it went to the upside. So then it took me out with minus 1%. So this was a good trade, to take. This was followed by the plan, so nothing to do about it. Then EURNZD. This was a break-even trade for me. So on the weekly, what can you see on the weekly? The weekly is still bullish for me. This is the major bullish trend, this major bullish M. If you look closer, you have here this bullish M here that can play out. Then you have a potential shoulder 1 here, head shoulder 2, where the price could come back to. So I was expecting a pullback, even if we had that bullish M here that IC was getting touched, this bigger red candle that was touched here. But I was expecting that pullback because we had that weekly bearish candle close, so I could trade with that even if the weekly trend is against us, and with that shoulder 1 here had shoulder 2 that we could pull back from. So then I went to a daily, and on a daily what we saw a clear shoulder 1 had shoulder 2 touch with a clear break here, and then we wanted to see a pattern. So on the 4-hour, what could we see? We had a bearish W above the previous higher low. So as you can see, this was our first leg, second leg, third leg, price going back to that lower high here. And what I did was I was standing with a night shift, and I was awake around 12 o'clock, 13 in the day. And I just saw it pulling back, and I just took the market execution because I knew it was already touching this highs. So I wanted to take the trade immediately, so my entry was a little bit lower than expected. And then I went break even here, and then it took me just out, and then it went to the downside. So there I missed for sure 0.8%. And even if we managed to go to the beginning of correction, I could take 3% out. So potentially I missed 3% there. So yeah, it sucks, but yeah, that's trading. Um, so next time I need to wait for that the 1 pip to the downside. It was around here, then my entry would be here. So yeah, it was just a good trade. So yeah. Then AUDGPY, AUDGPY like this. Yes. So if I go to the weekly, what can you see on the weekly? The weekly is bearish because we closed here below that weekly low. This was our weekly low wick, and this was our new high. So this was the bullish impulse. This was the bigger bullish M. So what we saw was we broke it here with that weekly candle. So this is indicational bearish. So we could see here, yeah, pattern forming, same. We could form here that, yeah, bearish W here, and we touched the weekly highs. And we touched also the weekly highs wicks. So the banks and institutes like to take some profits out. And what could you see? We had here an impulse, and we had here more corrective nature, as you can see. So the price was coming corrective, so we could expect more downside momentum. So I went to the daily. Daily was still bullish for me. Daily was here making, yeah, these higher highs, higher lows here. So yeah, it was bullish, but we could trade that pullback to the daily IC where the price could support from that weekly high here, which can become support here, as you can see, a resistance, resistance, support. So yeah, so I was looking then on the 4 hour. And on the 4 hour, what can you see? The same principle of that weekly reverse point. So we had here our previous high, then we made a new high. We closed below that with this wick here from that 4 hour reverse point black line. And when we closed below, I could take my limit, stop loss, just for sure for around 4% to the daily low high C. And yeah, we went out and it was minus 1%. So it was trade followed by the plan. And yeah, that's why I have a bad week because of AUDCAD. So I took 3 AUD pairs. Also, AUDCAD that was running minus 2% with that high impulse, with that very massive impulse. So that's why. So I hope you had a nice trading week, and I hope you liked the trade recap, and see you next week. Bye.